Hey there Flutter fans. Welcome back to FlutSky. Today we're checking out 5 awesome packages that'll make your Flutter apps even better. We're not just going to talk about these packages, we're going to use them. So, grab your computer and code along with me. Whether you're new to Flutter or you've been at it for a while, these tips will help you level up your skills. We're continuing our Flutter tips series with the third part. If you haven't seen the first 2 parts, make sure to check them out after this one. These tips are focused on powerful packages that can streamline your backend operations and enhance your app's UI. Let's get started. The first package is Provider. If you've been in the Flutter ecosystem for a while, you've probably heard of Provider. It's one of the most essential packages for state management. Provider is all about making state management simpler and more efficient. Let's see it in action with a quick demo. I have set up a new Flutter project. First, we need to add provider to our pubspec.yaml. For that, we will head to our pub.dev and find our provider and add this to our dependencies. Now, let's create a simple counter app using provider. In our main.dart, I will create my app as stateless widget. That return a material app which have a scaffold. And in the body of scaffold we have center widget with text widget that will contain our counter value. Then we create our counter provider class that extends change a notifier. We import the provider package. Now let's create an integer value count and set it to 0. Then we get the value. An increment function that will increase the count. And add notify listener to update the changes. After that, to use the provider we have to provide context to our main app. We wrap my app with change notifier and provide the context of counter. And then we wrap the text widget with the consumer. The consumer requires the builder widget that will contain our text widget and the counter value. We give it a text style. We will use a floating action button to increment our counter. It will have an icon and the onPressed function that have provider of counter that will listen to our increments. Now let's run the app. As you can see that when I tap the add button the UI is updated by 1. This makes it easy to update your UI based on state changes without having to manually pass data down the widget tree. Provider makes it easy to manage and update state across our app. This pattern scales well for more complex scenarios like user authentication or theme management. While Provider is fantastic for many use cases, there's another package that takes state management to the next level, Riverpod. Riverpod is often described as an improved version of Provider, and for good reason. Let's see how that works. Here, let's rewrite our counter app using Riverpod. First, we need to add flutter_riverpod to our pubspec.yaml file. We will head back to pub.dev, search for flutter_riverpod, and copy the latest version to our dependencies. In our main.dart, we'll start by importing flutter_riverpod. We'll make a counter notifier class that extends stat notifier. This class will handle our counter logic. It starts at 0 and has a method to increment to the count and a method to decrement the count. Then we'll create a stat notifier provider for our counter. This is like telling Riverpod, hey, keep an eye on this counter for me. To use Riverpod in our app, we need to wrap our main app with a provider scope. This is like giving Riverpod a big hug around our whole app. Now, instead of a stateless widget, we'll use a consumer widget for our my app. This lets us easily use Riverpod's features. In the build method, we pass the widgetref. We'll create a counter that will watch our counter provider to get the current count. Just like before, we'll have a centered text widget to display the count. And in the floating action button, I will create a column that has 2 floating action buttons that reads our counter provider for any changes to increment counter or decrement the counter. Let's run the app and see it in action. You see we can easily add a value or remove the value without updating the UI. Notice how Riverpod separates the state management logic from the UI, making it easier to test and maintain. It also provides more robust tools for handling complex state scenarios. Riverpod might look a bit different from Provider, but it gives us more power and flexibility, especially in bigger apps where we need to juggle lots of data. If you're building a complex app with a lot of moving parts, Riverpod is definitely worth exploring. It's designed to be more robust and scalable than Provider, making it ideal for larger applications. Next up is Dio, the powerful HTTP client for Flutter. It's like a super-powered postman for your app, helping it talk to the internet. Need to get info from a website or send data to a server? Dio's got your back. While Flutter's default HTTP package is great for basic needs, Dio offers a range of advanced features that make it an indispensable tool for more complex applications. Let's see how Dio makes API requests a breeze. First things first, let's add Dio to our pubspec.yaml. You know the drill. pub.dev, search for Dio, copy the latest version, and paste it and save it for latest package. Now, let's make a simple app that fetches a joke from the internet. We'll use the official joke API for this. Let's create a new class joke_app.dart. Then we'll create a stateful widget called jokeapp and return a scaffold. Inside jokeapp state, we'll create a Dio instance and a variable to hold our joke. We'll add the Dio package in our file. We'll make a method called _getJoke that will be asynchronous. We will hit the joke API with Dio for random joke and await for response. And then we'll update our joke. We wrap it in try catch, and then if we get error we disobey it on terminal. If you get any error, using these print methods will help you debug your code more efficiently. In the body of scaffold we have centered column that have a text widget containing joke wrapped in padding, and an elevated button that we use to get a new joke. Let's run it and enjoy some dad jokes. What kind of bagel can fly? A plain bagel. Ha ha ha. See how Dio makes it super easy to get stuff from the internet? You can use this for all sorts of things in your apps, like getting weather info, sending messages to a server, or loading content for your users. If you're dealing with complex APIs, or if you need more control over your HTTP requests, Dio is the package for you. It's flexible, easy to use, and packed with features that go beyond what the default HTTP package offers. Moving on to the Translator package. If you're aiming to reach a global audience, making your app multilingual is a must, and the Translator package can help you achieve that with ease. Translator uses the Google Translator API to translate any string in your app into multiple languages, making it easier to localize your app for different regions. Let's see it in action. Let's add the Translator package to our pubspec.yaml. You know where to find it, pub.dev. Copy the version and save it in pubspec.yaml file. As the Flutter updates its packages, we'll create a new class translator_app.dart. We'll create a new stateful widget called TranslatorApp and import the Flutter material package and the Translator package. In its state, we'll set up a final Google Translator instance and a string to hold our translated text. We'll make a future translate text method that will take our text and translate it to any language. We'll make a _translate text method that takes some English text and translates it to Spanish. When we get the translation, we'll update our UI using setState to show it. We wrap it all in try catch, in case we get any error, and show the error. In the build method we have scaffold containing a column wrapped in a padding. The column has an alignment of main axis alignment.center. The column contains a text field where users can type in English, and a text widget to display the Spanish translation. Let's run it and start translating. I will type "do like this video," press enter. Our translator will translate and you can like this video. Cool, right? Now your app can talk to people all around the world. This is super helpful if you want your app to reach a global audience. Now you can easily make your translator app. You can choose any language and translate it. Last but not least, let's talk about the location package. If your app needs to know the user's location, whether for a GPS feature or to provide location-based services, the location package is your go-to solution. It makes it incredibly easy to get the user's current location, as well as listen for location changes. Let's see it in action. First step, you guessed it. Head to our pub.dev and search for location, then add the location package to pubspec.yaml. Also, we need to add these lines to our app. So we get users permission to get the location of device. We will paste these lines in Android manifest.xml and Android, in the app, source, main. Let's paste them here and save it. Now, let's create a new find_me.dart. And then we'll create a new stateful widget called Where Am I? In its state, we'll set up a location instance and a variable to hold our location info, a bool value for location_service and permission status that is denied by default. We will initialize the getLocation method in its state. Then we create the future getLocation method that will check for the location service is enabled or not. And also we request for permission, and when permission is granted we use the location package to get the current location. We use await, so when we get the location, we'll update our UI to show the latitude and longitude. We wrap it in try-catch to handle any error. In the build method, we have scaffold that contains a centered column widget that have a text widget to display the location info and an elevated button to trigger getting the location. Let's run it and find out where we are. And just like that, your app knows where it is. This is super useful for things like map apps, weather apps, or any app that needs to know the user's location. One of the great things about the location package is that it handles both foreground and background location updates, which is essential for apps that need to track the user's location over time, like fitness or navigation apps. Remember, when working with location data in real apps, you'll need to handle permissions properly to ensure a smooth user experience and comply with platform guidelines. And that's a wrap on our third installment of Flutter tips. We've covered some powerful packages today, from state management with Provider and Riverpod to handling HTTP requests with DO, making your app multilingual with Translator, and working with user locations using the location package. I hope you found these tips helpful, and that they inspire you to take your Flutter projects to the next level. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to FlutSky for more Flutter content. And don't forget to check out the previous parts of this series for even more great tips. Let me know in the comments which package you're most excited to try out, or if you have any other packages you think we should feature in future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.